As women, we have unique menstrual cycles, just like we're unique in body shape, face form, all of those different things. Just like we're unique in our food preferences or what we want to wear as women, we all have a different tendency or way that our body works during our menstrual cycle. And some women tend towards heavy bleeding. For some people, this could become an issue. And so after today's video, I'd like for you to walk away with knowing a few reasons why this could be happening and what to do if this is what's happening for you. If you like this video and you find it helpful, be sure to click subscribe and the bell so you find out when I make more videos just like this one. First and foremost, if we have heavy bleeding, we need to find and talk to a doctor that we trust. That is really important. And I want to encourage you, if you don't have a doctor that you know and you trust, feel free to reach out to me. I work in the medical field and I have a lot of people that I know and would be able to possibly offer a referral for you. Until I am a naturopathic doctor, of course. And if you're watching this at that point, feel free to reach out and hopefully I'll be able to have some resources for you. Next, let's talk about, are you anemic? Have you been told that you've been anemic in the past? How much red meat do you eat? Do you eat a lot of greens? What does your diet look like in things that help to provide iron for our body? And so if we're vegan or vegetarian, that can also influence our iron levels because we aren't eating red meat, we're not eating dairy. And those are sources of iron. Also, we might not have as many sources of nutrients to help make iron bioavailable. If we are vegan or vegetarian, which I am, we want to consider how many beans are we eating, how many lentils are we eating, maybe how farty we are, but that just is meant to, those are sources where we can get natural sources of iron for our body to be able to use. So are we eating them often enough? Are we having enough of those in our diet so that we make sure we have ample sources of iron for our blood to clot properly? And the other thing to consider is if you have been told you're anemic, do you take an iron supplement? Have you been told you need to take one and you're not taking it? Or have you never been told that? And should you be getting tested to see if that's something that you need to take? These are things to consider so that you know a little bit more about what to talk to your doctor about when you get in connection with them. So anemia is an interesting situation, and what can happen is because we don't have enough iron for our blood to clot properly, it can cause heavy bleeding. So when we have our menstrual cycle, we'll have blood form around our lining of our uterus, and then when it sheds, because it can't clot properly, we might shed more and bleed more than is normal. Because that lining developed thicker, things like that. And so keep that in mind, that is why that happens. And when we bleed more, we can become even more anemic. So it's important, like I said, to talk with your doctor about what is going on, because we need to consider if this is a cycle that's feeding off of itself and worsening itself as well by having increased bleeding, increasing the anemia, and then leading to more heavy bleeding. Next, are you overweight? There are studies that have shown that women who are overweight and have heavy bleeding, if they reduce their body weight by 10%, they can decrease or even manage their heavy bleeding. So that is something to consider. Just consider if you're overweight and 10% of your body weight is going to put you underweight. Just keep that in mind. Obviously, someone wouldn't want to lose 10% of their body weight at that point. But this is for people who are usually more than 15 or 20 pounds overweight. But bringing that back down can bring our menstrual cycle back in balance. It also means that we will have less estrogen. Our fat cells can produce extra estrogen, which can contribute to thicker uterus lining and therefore heavier bleeding. So these are things to just keep in mind. Is this part of what's going on for you? And last, are you chronically stressed? If you're chronically stressed, this can contribute to higher levels of certain hormones like cortisol, which can disrupt our feminine hormone rhythms. And so when that gets disrupted, we could have various types of things happen. It could be that we get no period. It could be that we have heavier bleeding. So these are things to keep in mind based on what you're going through what could be contributing to this possibly. So these are just a few things that could contribute to heavy bleeding. Not all of them. There are more serious causes of heavy bleeding, things like fibroids and cysts. So keep this in mind, that is why the first thing that I mentioned was you need to talk to a doctor that you trust to make sure that those are ruled out. Are you finding this helpful? Let me know in the comments below if you think that you might be experiencing any one of these situations, and I'd love to have a little bit more of a chat with you. Okay, so what can we do? First, heavy bleeding is happening for someone who's watching this video most likely. So what we would want to consider is how can we sustainably manage this blood flow? So menstrual cups and sustainable menstrual underwear are a great option for heavy bleeding, because what they're going to do is they're going to provide a way that we can capture that heavy bleeding where it's not in a pad or a tampon that could create a situation that could be more moist and damp. That's not a great thing for perpetuating feminine health. So those are options. They also can help make it more manageable. Rather than changing a tampon every few hours, a cup could be changed every 6 to 8 hours sometimes if someone has a heavier flow. Menstrual underwear also provides a second layer of protection for those who might need it in addition to a menstrual cup. So that's just another option for women who might need to combine menstrual products in order to meet their bleeding needs. Next, if someone tends towards anemia, making sure that they have ample sources of iron. So that's green leafy vegetables, legumes, lentils, beans, things like that, as well as some red meat if that's something that you have in your diet, are all sources of iron. And that can help with supporting our body, making sure that we have iron that is easily absorbed, because there's multiple forms of iron and not all of them are easy for our body to put to use. So those are things that are options that someone can bolster their diet with in the meantime, especially if they're waiting to talk with a doctor. And then last, there is an herb called ashwagandha that has some studies that have been done that show that it could be helpful in reducing heavy bleeding. This might not be right for everyone, and so it should be discussed with a doctor after ruling out other things that could be more serious that are causing heavy bleeding. I also would like to note that ashwagandha is a nightshade. So if someone has a nightshade sensitivity or allergy, they might not find that this is the right fit for them either. So there you have it. 4 things that we can do if we're having heavy bleeding in order to be able to more sustainably manage that bleeding while we wait to make sure that nothing more serious is going on and to bring it back into balance. So these are a few things. One of the other things is making a diet change. If someone needs to lose 10% of their body weight in order to help better manage their menstrual cycle, I have a lot of tools linked below that you can take advantage of for helping you get there if that's part of what you need or you want to nutritionally support your menstrual cycle. So until next time, be well.